Hello everybody, I'm Christy with Christi Creations, and today I am going to show y'all how to make Clarabelle Dreams a 3D folio card. As you can see, opens up. This is my fully blinged out one. I'm going to show you my basic one first, and then in a second video I will have all the bling. It comes with different pockets and tags and everything else we can use as well. So if you purchase this kit, I will have 2 or 3 options. I'm playing with those right now, and I'd love your opinion in the comments. I'll have one that just has the ribbons, the cords, and then the paper product. One that can have just my chainmail by itself that adds on to all that are already previous listed, or I can just do a deluxe edition that also adds all the different random bling I will be adding in a second video. So let me go over some supplies you may or may not want. Of course, it will come with the paper like this here. I use 2 Velcro dots to hold it together. That will also come with. And it'll come with pre-cut, all ready for you ribbon. That is everything you will get in the basic package. However, there is more obviously we can add to it on your own or otherwise. So for everything you will have to have a pair of scissors. I have 2 different types here. I personally am left-handed, and I learned with regular scissors, not the left-handed style. So I sometimes will just use these, but I notice when I'm working a lot, especially on finer cuts, having bigger handle helps my hands. So there's that. You may also want fussy cut scissors. These are just tiny scissors to help you get into tighter spaces. Some people prefer them, other people do not. There is a couple spots you will need a hole punch as well. I have a standard one here. I have several different styles. For this project, I'm using my standard hole punch. I will be using both liquid glue and stick glue on this. Optional is if you have double-sided tape and you can fit it in like I do here, you can use those as well. I highly recommend having some different size binder clips on hand, or if you know someone you or someone else you sew, you can use these clips as well. I know they have a proper name, but the thing I have on it says sewing clips, so I do not know for sure. Also, if you want to be able to help, when we do certain pages, you might want to have something to help seam or press down and get the seam good. You have a couple options. I have my metal ruler here just to show you. I would actually use a plastic ruler for that part. If you are into the paper crafting world, you probably already have something like one of these in my hand. This is my brain just went, a folder increaser, but I will also use it to help smooth out the pages. Hilariously enough, this is actually for drywall, but I love it to use again either way to crease on my pages. Another fun object, which I have done some on, and I forgot to pull it out of the bag because I always keep them in bags, is you can use some distressing inks, markers, or so forth. So this is a distressing ink, and I will be showing you how to use this one. And who knows, with the markers you can do the same thing on the edging and so forth. So I have already pre-cut my kit out. So hopefully this won't be too overwhelming as I explain what you need. The first 4 pieces I actually want to work with are the Highland Cow. You will notice when you cut, you have some with folded edge, which makes the 3D element, and then some without. Now, I'll be honest, I normally use foil paper or parchment paper when I'm working with my glue. Today I literally just grabbed a piece of scrap paper instead. That is on me. So, first thing first, you have your 4 pieces. Since these are going to be reverse siding, you want to put them together. Right now they are not going to line up the greatest, and that is the one reason why we have scissors still on my project, is to cut them out the way you want them. These are not edged yet, and this is one of the things I'll be edging with y'all. So, I personally, to make things go a little quicker here, will be using a little bit of my tape on each one, just so you don't have to sit and watch for several hours of waiting for glue to dry. No, the glue itself would not take several hours to dry. However, the rest of the components all together, making it with waiting for glue to dry for each section, would take a lot longer. Now, you only really need one-sided, double-sided tape. As you'll see here, I am using a couple different ones. I'm not even sure how well mine is showing up on the screen. I'm trying to also stay in the center of the screen. I do have a habit of getting off, and I apologize if I do. So if you can see where I'm kind of having a little, that little shiny, that is my double-sided tape. Because I plan to also use my glue stick here. And if I was just sitting here at home working, I would just glue this part, move on to working on something else, and come back personally. However, I don't want to do that on a video. Who knows how long that video would end up being. So I am just making sure some of the areas I am concerned about coming up as I continue working quicker have a little extra hold. I'll put a little bit here, and then we'll peel the tape, and then we'll be using the glue stick and sticking it down. I personally like using the different sizes, and I literally have my older scissors, not my what is technically sewing scissors that I've used for my paper, for the tape, because they have now started getting a little sticky and sticking some. You can also, if you buy this tape, it does rip really well. I'll show you real quick here. I personally just don't like rip edges, because you can see right there it does pull up some, but it is an option if you don't want to use your scissors with the double-sided tape. As you can see, that one just came straight off on my finger instead of on the project. So I'm just going to randomly stick that one because that's extra. So I always do keep a trash can next to me for certain things. Other things that I don't need it for, I will not obviously have the trash can right there. So there's a couple ways you can peel up the tape. I'm using just my nails. You can also, if you have them, especially if you have craft supply variation, tweezers. I'll be honest, since I also make chainmail, I have known to grab my pliers for my chainmail once or twice now, because it would just not come up, and I was being impatient and grabbed them. So everything that I am using will be down in the description for y'all, and where y'all can buy the kit from me, because this is for Paper Craft Socials, and I am one of the ambassadors. So you'll probably see other people making variations of this as well. So I'm moving off the one I'm not working on right this second, now off the screen, so we can get everything hopefully completely on the screen here. I have my paper, which I really don't recommend. I really do recommend using cardstock or foil. When I have scrap paper, I use it and then I move on. So even though I have my tape all opened, I am going ahead and using my glue stick here, and I am going to definitely go over the edges very thoroughly, because those are always what peels first. Now that I got that, I'm just going to run in the middle. I will sometimes have to stop and twist. And I just make sure I get as best coating as I can. It doesn't always end up being perfect, but I do do what I can to make sure it's going to stick. So I'm going to move my scrap paper off to the side. I'm pulling the center one here. So first off, remember we have this slab piece here. We do not want to glue on that part there. So I always pick it up personally, and I try my best to line it by starting with the horn area, then the bow area, and then I just kind of let it drop. I don't press too hard because that tape I personally recommend is slightly forgivable. I will have to come cut a little bit, but I am happy with this, so I'm going to press first with my hands. And yes, there's that little bit of glue showing because of where I did it. Now I'm using the bigger one. I said that was for wallpapering. I know they have different variations in scrapbooking, but honestly, this is what I grabbed when I purchased, and I'm very happy with it, and I'll put it down on the links as well. So this is, even though the glue sticks pretty quickly, this is why I like the tape. It makes sure it holds better. If you are using liquid glue, at this point you'd be grabbing a binder clip and holding for a while. Thankfully I am not, so we do not have to. So as I said, I'll have to come trim up these edges, but we are going to do the other side first because I trim at the same time. And again, we're just going to first use tape. To do the best of our abilities on making sure the seams, again, like I said, this where I prioritize seams, there is a reason for this. I have made a piece, come back a little bit later, and then I'm going to have to I had to take my liquid glue to fix the seams that came undone. And I'm in corners that are really hard to get to. So that is one reason I really use the tape. It helps make sure the corners do stay down better. And yes, I probably do go overboard on my taping. But also on this piece, you really don't have to have any tape at all unless you really want it. And again, like I said, this tape is very rippable. And I'm not a fan of personally ripping it. As you can see, that one did not lay correctly. But sometimes it's, after I've already set my scissors back down, I really don't want to pick them back up, so I'll rip them. I think this is going to be our last piece. Again, I'm going to rip it. Put one there. One there. Peel all the tape stickers off. If you are just doing one or two projects, you can get it or a pre-roller ready to go ones. For me, with me doing so many paper products and crafting in general, I just prefer buying bigger rolls and multiple sizes at one go instead of a single size. Because say if I use just my small size here, it will take a lot longer. So even though I'm with this first part always seems to take longest. The longest part will actually fill in the end is when you're you'll see why this is still slightly sticky. That's why one reason I do recommend floral. But cutting this is actually one of the longest time consuming for me, I think. But it's also because I have to make sure it's all cut neatly. Personally, over leaving it kind of crazy. So I got that glued. We're going to peel it up. And we're going to do like I did before, where we're going to work on aligning. This may, like I said, remember I am left-handed, so this may look a little different than what y'all are doing on y'all's end. I will work on lining the cow head as well as horn as well as I can, then down to the ribbon area, or the bow area I mean, and then the rest of it, and then I just, when it looks the closest I can get it, I just go ahead and push it down. And then I just run the seamer through it. Now with using this glue sticks, you'll notice my fingers are getting sticky. You can use alcohol or anything else to clean it. I'm just going to rub them together real quick off screen and moving forward. So before I actually get to edging these and trimming these, we're going to set these to the side. So I'm going to have you, if you pre-cut everything, find the 4 big pieces. You'll notice they have 2 pieces each have matching patterns, and one of them has a tab to help hold. So this top one, which has more opened roses and pink, is going to be the inside. So we're going to set that to the side. This is the outside we need first. And another good way to help know which way to line it up, I'm flipping it correctly, hopefully, is if you look at the design. This is called a seamless design, where it just keeps flowing. So I'm not doing it, but sometimes I will ink this before I seal glue. This time I am not, because I want it the different type of look, because I'm using a more rustic one this time than my normal pinks or paler colors. I'm using a more dark one, and I will go over that a little bit more here when we get to the inking process. So for this one, I will actually also be using my liquid glue. So I will clamp this for a minute, and that is the reason I wanted, I cut that one too big. Since I want this to lay correctly, I'm going to cut it and leave that little bit on my scissors right this second and lay it down. So for me, being in Texas, I want to make sure the glue has plenty. The glues normally dry pretty quickly, but I also want to make sure it has a good hold while it's drying, is why I use tape as well. And so you're going to see me using this lovely sheet again. Like I said, you can probably use foil for forever, just to give it time to dry without issue. Okay, so I did go over here a little on the glue. That is where I literally use my finger and just get it glue on my hands again. I'm pulling it from the paper. Again, that is why you don't want to really glue on paper. It doesn't stick when you use parchment or other. So I have not got my new bottle in yet, and it probably won't. Later I'll be having a bigger one, but I prefer using the Aleene's Quick Dry Tacky Glue or Zip Dry, and both of them I really like. So I literally had ordered a whole different variations of samples to see what I liked best. So you don't really need a whole lot of the glue. I did it a little bit heavier on the seams because I want to have it that way, personally. And then I did a couple dots in the middle, glue stick and tape. Now, remember how I said this was a just continuous seam project? Before you sit it down, because most of this is semi-forgivable, but I don't like pulling up and putting down more than I have to. I'm trying to make sure I stay completely in screen for y'all. You want to make sure you have it lined up. So the 2 points I always look for is finishing off this flower here and finishing off this little bit of stem here. Or this little stem here is where you look the best for. I am a little shaky every time I do this because I want it to line up the first time and I'll have to pull up. That looks good to me. I press down with just my finger on this. You'll see why I'm going to press down with just my finger. I actually and this is why I have a mat. I have a little glue on it now. Flip it over. And now I will be seaming this side. We're going to let this glue for a minute sit. If you only used liquid glue, which I did, even though I used more, I am actually using my clips. I have a whole random selection of them over here, just to hold that little bit, to give it a couple minutes to set. But while that's setting, we are coming back and working on this part here with the cows. So, I personally did my best job I could on alignment. One side looks great, one side you can see is not the best on that one. This one is not as nearly as bad. But for someone like me, I cannot just ink that and walk away. So we're going to get my scissors, and I may end up using my fussy cuts, we're going to see. And we're going to just try to trim up this little bit of odds and ends here of the whites. So again, left-handed, so this may look a little different if you're working along with me. Also, I should have said this sooner, but if y'all need to pause as I'm working, I understand that, because when I watch videos on making products, I have to pause. So as you can see here, I'm having a little trouble getting into certain places. I'm skipping right a second. That is why I recommend those more fussy cut scissors. And I'm not doing the perfect job, because this doesn't have to be perfect. I know that, but that was just too much white for me personally. And so I'm just doing the best, very carefully cutting around until I get it the best way I can. So that little bit right there, I do not feel comfortable taking the big scissors in. So it'll take a lot more cuts. But having this little one where you can just come in and curve does help. Now I'm happy with that there. This side looks pretty good enough to me. There's a little bit right there. If you really want to be picky and cut it, which it seems I am today. So, as you can see, all this paper is now falling on my board, and that's one reason I personally work off with belt underneath. I got my belt mat at Hobby Lobby, but I will drop a link to one for Amazon for y'all, so y'all don't even have to go hunt. Because I know not everyone has Hobby Lobbies as close as I do. This one is not nearly as bad as the other one, but we will go ahead and trim a little. And like I said, most people may not even notice these things. It's just something it's hilarious. I'll ask my parents something more so when it comes to, is this color the same to y'all or is it different? Because I can see two different colors in certain things, especially when I'm working on my chainmail. So I'll turn and ask my parents what they're seeing. And of course they don't see what I'm seeing, so if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, that's perfectly fine. Not everyone sees it the same way. Alright, let me clean up the little bit of cuts. Before I glue this down, we're going to do two things. We're first going to take this and fold it to that pink line right there. Then I take my creaser. That is why I recommend having a ruler, because most people have a ruler laying somewhere in their house they can use to help. If you have a straight edge on your table or workspace, you can do that as well. And again, you're just going to fold this side here. Now you have two options. Option A is the one I'm going to show you, but option B is also available. I'm going to show you how to ink this before we glue it down, or we can completely glue the whole base together first and ink after. So the inking I am using, I'm pulling my paper here for a reason, is because you'll see right here on my page this still has some ink on it, is the Tim Holtz Distressed Ink in Vintage Photo. I use all different types of inks. This is just the one I found for this one I want today. So I personally rub and dab pretty hard. I am self-taught on how to do all this, so that is it. And then I personally just kind of rub down the edge like that, and then I sometimes come back and do the whole edge there too. It gives you two different variations. It offers a distressed look, or if you do the pink, it offers more of a pinkish distressed look. There's so many variations you can use here. This is just the one I chose for this one, this cow I made. I've made a couple of cows already, or Clarabelle the cow I should call her. And for paper product, this one is a fun one. And so you can come back and go heavier if you don't like how light it is. Now I go ahead and flip and do both sides. And sometimes I go over onto the color base that is there for whatever project I'm working with, because I like seeing that little more rusticness there. All this I got, it was from Amazon, and I will list the proper names because I literally call this a dauber and I call that ink. Even though it has, called distressed ink and everything else. So this part I will be doing twice. I just rub down and add a little distressing right here on it, and we're just going to repeat on the other side. And you'll notice I don't know if it's showing up on my screen, you'll notice right there, you can sometimes get ink off. Wet wipes, alcohol swabs, or just take time and go scrub your hands. It gets it all off. Right now I'm not worried because I will probably end up with more ink before we're done. But that's how I personally work, and I sometimes just get the ink on my fingers. I did pre-ink a lot of this. The only thing I did not pre-ink is the base that I'm working with y'all on, so we do not have to. And then a couple pieces I was going to show you how to make, so y'all don't have to wait forever as I ink everything, because inking and cutting are the two longest processes to me, probably because I'm inking it all before I assemble. This is when I get ink. As you can see, where I'm putting my finger and I'm rubbing down on it, that's why I end up with ink all over me. And no, you do not have to use the inks. Just because I find them adding a little more texture to the project does not mean you need to. Alright, that is done. I'm going to sit my dauber here. I'm going to put my lid back on. I'm moving these off to the side till we need them again. So this has a set for a couple minutes. Normally I'd leave it a little bit longer, but I'm pretty sure y'all don't want to be sitting here forever. So, I first always slide the cows on each side. You have two options here. You can already pre-bend this, or you can do the best you can on lining up the cows, which there's a reason why I'll have two clips sitting here ready to go. These are a little different size I'm grabbing this time. I get one in the position I like it in. And I'm using the left hand side because I always work from the left times, and then the other times I work from the right. Today it seems the left. I am clipping her because now I'm going to pull this other side up to match, and we are going to try to get it to match as best you can. It's not going to be perfect no matter how hard you try, and I am personally happy with that, so I'm going to clip. So now I have them in semi positions. I know you can only see one side. I am going to grab my tape because again I'm going to have this hole as we go ahead and move on to the next stage. I am going to carefully unclip. This is the hardest part, is unclipping and not moving it, if you choose to do this variation. I'm laying my tape the best I can. Okay. The good thing is working on one side at a time. If you do move, you can refix it. I am going to grab my glue stick, and I'm doing very carefully since I did not put paper down this time, and put it down. You have an option of doing glue, liquid glue, and I may have to come back and do that. We will see. And I am just pressing this down. So half side is done. Now the thing is, I will come and see if I kept it pretty good lined. And it does look that way. Now let me get it on screen for y'all. I hope I did not go off screen too many times and not catch myself. So we're going to undo this one. We're going to not move the paper, even though I didn't get it on screen until I get I'm going to hold it very carefully and slide it so I can get y'all back on screen with me. Alright. I am putting, hopefully it stayed good enough in place. If not, it's just not going to be quite as lined up as I was shooting for, which is okay. So first off, you see my tape is going wonky. I like this tape because it is slightly forgivable. Some of the brands of tape are not as forgivable. That is something you will need to remember if you don't just buy what I have on my list for y'all. And then again, you just peel up. I honestly left my glue stick open this time to make it a little quicker. And we're just going to rub down that side real quick. And I'm just going to close it and hope I did the best laying I can. I know I could keep going back and forth, and I could probably peel that up and double check, but I'm not going to. So there we are, our starting of the cow. Now, the reason why I did not use the glue is we have our inside pages. So I will drop them here. I'm not even trying to get them lined up right this second. I'm just dropping them down, trying to see where my seam is. So I'm going to move that onto the middle because it is bugging me, because I do not feel I had the correct seam here until I just saw right there. Okay, if you look at this flower point right here, this seams up to with the leaf right there seams, and it seams right there. That is how you're going to know. So we're going to slide one to the side. I'm going to use some glue stick and tape. Tape's going to be on the edges to the best of my ability, specifically the corner spots. I may have to cut more than I often to get where I want it to be, and I will, on this one, I will overlap if I need to a little on the tape pieces, because I want these corners to hold. This is one of the places the first time I made, I did not do as well as I thought I did, and had to go back and glue. The thing with using liquid glue on something like this part is if you're not careful, you can create creases. Which is not the funnest thing in the world. I just covered up over a whole glue stick thing there. Not glue, tape there, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and drop a little more here. Like I said, I will go heavy on my corners because of previous pull-ups. Okay, let me move my dauber off that one page onto the other paper I keep for it. I'm going to try to keep I'm going to glue the whole, use a glue stick across the whole thing here. And then in just a second after I pull up my tape. Alright, so if you overlap your tape like I do, you're going to have to pull, grab the bottom part first, pull it up, and then let that top part drop back down. I have overlap in here, so I'm going to pull and grab the one underneath. This is why sometimes it is easier if you have tweezers, but it's not required to have tweezers. I'm just lucky I have nails right now and able to do this. Sometimes you have to work until you get a correct corner pulling up for you, which is sometimes easier said than done. And you're just going to pull up your pieces. I think I'm going to try this corner down here. Nope, but right there is. Now, I nearly just forgot to do the one thing I just told everyone we were going to be doing. I nearly just skipped gluing. And you'll notice I still do the edges even though I have the glue there. I mean the tape there. And I'm just kind of coating the inside here across. And there we go. Now as you can see, it's stuck to my pen and the paper, so fun. Alright. I am going to try to line this up the best I can. That is why we can always trim if needed. But I prefer not trimming if we can help it. And then press down. And I just stabbed myself with my little fussy cut scissors. So move those out of the way before I do that again. Now this is not perfect. I can tell you right now there's a little bit there and a little bit there. And that is why I do the inking. Because I want to make sure when I put this over, I'm just flipping it where I'm just going to have, all I have to do is flip here in a second. The inking helps me feel like I don't have to go back and peel that up a million hundred times to get it in the right spot. Because before, I used to do paper in products and stuff done before I started my chainmail. But chainmail, if you make a mistake, you're going to have to go back and fix it. No matter what. And so with me trying to switch back and forth between the two, it's sometimes a little reminder of it doesn't have to be perfect as much as it would if it does on chainmail. And I'm trying to do a little less perfect on this taping. We'll see if it actually works for me. Okay, so there's that tape. Like I said, sometimes I have fun pilling, and this one's one of them. So also, along with being on the Paper Craft socials, I always want to say social and such socials. I have where I will do Zoom classes, so I can do this with y'all, and we can actually work step by step, cutting out, doing it all together. I will have other projects up in time, and I will have all different sorts of kits and accessories on the ways to decorate them. Alright, so I'm stopping real quick and moving this on my paper a little differently, because I just noticed I was on the edge and was about to glue. Ooh. And see, that's one reason you have to be careful. Sometimes it will pull things up if you use it on paper. So I will just cover that boo-boo up. But that is a real reason you need the parchment or the foil. So that is my one recommendation to everyone. Do not do what I do and use paper, because I did mess up there. And I doubt anyone's going to see it but me. But it's a simple fix in the end. So I'm sliding this over so we can see the edge here, because I'm going to line it up the best I can on my edge first. And this one I'm actually going to have to pull up a little. When you're lining up pre-cut things, I find that is the hardest part for me for some reason. Okay. There is a little bit of seam, but I'm okay with that. Alrighty. I'm going to push this down. I'm going to be nice to my glue and let it sit a minute before I ink and fold. But we're going to work on another project while we wait. So you'll note if you cut everything out, you have 2 pocket folders. So that is what we're going to work on while we wait. I am getting a container ready. So first thing I will do is I'll fold each edge. I have no clue what I got on this either, so each edge will be folded inwards. So I will flip. I will actually hold it up like I am right now on the video, and do a finger crease first, put it down, holding it, and creasing it with an object. If you're brave, you can even use your your scissors, but I am not that brave. And I am fold again. And now I'm going to fold inward. And I'm going to just press down again. And I'm moving my mat all over the place, aren't I, on y'all? Okay. Now I'm going to fold that. You have 2 options. I'm going to do one of each option since I have 2 of these I can show y'all. I'm going to put a little bit of tape and then a couple glue dots, and we're going to let this sit to dry. This will need to be edged. I have not edged these yet. So just a little bit of tape on each one. Fill that up, put the glue on it, and then we're going to clip it and let it sit to dry before I edge. The other way I'm going to show you is I'll fold the top part down before I glue. Also, just so you can make sure everything lines up and you don't need a trim. I don't always do that, so I'm trying to show y'all both variations. That's with the tape, that should be plenty of glue. Now I'm just going to press it down. And then I grab whichever tool I have closer to my hands and do that. Now I will, even though it's still setting, I will double check and make sure I have not overpressed. And then I'm going to grab and make sure I press on the corners. And then I'll check and see if any of the other spots are trying to pull up, like right there. And press down there as well. So we have the other one here to do real quick. And then we'll get to our inking and folding of the base, and then we get to start assembling. So this is the way I sometimes also do it. I have not glued it yet, as you can see here. I will go ahead and fold this top to make sure it comes down on everything as well. So now I know that lines all up. We'll cut the tape, we'll do the glue, and set it aside again. With this, I eyeball how much tape I need. Sometimes I am accurate, other times I am not. It all depends on how well I do that day. Hopefully the roaring of the air conditioner will not cause too much sounding. I apologize if it does. But Texas, and it's hot. At the time of the filming, we're in the summer months. So an air conditioner is always a must. And again, I just do a small amount of dots. This is just to help hold it together. Grab some clips. And if I thought about it, which I didn't, so that's on me, I would have inked this spot up here first. But you'll get to see how I ink when I do not remember it here in a few. Alright. I'm hoping this has set long enough. We have our middle area, but the way I do it, I'll grab both cows at the same time and do my best to line them up in a center point. That looks pretty good to me. And I'll come and press down the best I can on one side with my whole hand and repeat on the other side. And one thing is, this will never be perfect. And then I will take my object I am using to help crease with. For some reason that one side's just not wanting to crease as well. Alright. So there we go. We have it folded. We have our card base. After inking, we get to go through all the different fun stuff and pick what we want to use. So at this point, is there any questions? Do drop them in the comments. As soon as I see them, I will do my best to answer them. But I cannot always guarantee that I will see them immediately. So I just pick it up, trying to get it where y'all can see as well, and edge down. Sorry, I pulled off the screen. You know what? Let's just put my ink on the other side so I can actually stay on screen at all times with you. This is why some people edge this middle. And I did the first time I did it one, and I did not like it. So that is a personal preference for each person. And even though I've already done this, I will run again down that middle there. Now we're going to move the cow out of the way again. And as you can see, you don't have to do the inking. This is personal preference. And you can also fold this again right here at the seam in half to make it where you can mail it a little bit easier if you're choosing to mail it to somebody. Now I ink both inside and the outside, because as you can see, me inking the outside, nothing got on the inside. And this helps when I make myself not go back and straighten all those little odd and end cuts. For me, this helps me a lot. Now if I'm doing inking the correct way, I don't know, as I've self-taught myself all of this, so I'm doing a little more rough housing on this side here, just adding a little more texture. Alright. Just a little. Did I do it on both sides? No, I did not do it this side. So you can see I kind of go overboard a little sometimes, and other times I do not. Set that and my ink to the side. We only have 2 more things to do with the ink. Okay. So here's where your imagination gets to take charge. You have your cards here, and another video with the extra 2 pages that you have in there. I'm going to show you what you can do with those, and your tags are cards. You have a folder there, a folder, folders, accessories. I always separate into piles for one reason or the other. This is actually, you can use it either as a folder or a card. I'm using it as a folder. Alright, those 2 are accessories and those 2 are cards. So not all the cards had to be hole punched. So I'm sorry I kept a little of that off screen, but I was trying to make sure I got all the cards on screen. Let's get our give me 1 second to find it. Velcro pieces here too, because we're gonna need those. We're gonna ink these little envelopes real quick and get all this done. So I will personally use front and back. And if I was gifting this, me personally would write on one of the little cards versus on this here. But so I forgot to ink ahead of time, so I had this pocket. I am just pressing it open and doing the best I can to get the inking on it. You may even, if you want to, you can even just dress this white up here. Let's do that. That shows you different variation. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold this white down now. The top down, I mean, not white, to where it lines up. And I did get off screen there. I do apologize. I'll re-ink on the other one, and then I just need to do the edges real quick. So the hardest part is deciding where you're going to put your pieces. I already have an idea where I'm going to put mine. This would be a great time to just watch one part, pause, and lay out your pieces. So to get inside, I pull up, I do the edging, and since it's a little more rustic I'm just coming in and hitting that white a little bit there. I'm not worried about getting it on the envelope there, so there's that. Now I'm going to do the top edging. When I have weird corners like this, I just kind of run and do variations of it to get the best I can on it. And as you can tell, I've thankfully already inked everything else, so y'all don't have to wait hours while I ink things. Okay, first thing I'm going to do before I even glue anything down is I'm going to come here. I already had the Velcro pre-prepped, so I'm going to open it, pull it out. Okay, I'm sorry I had to go off screen to get that a little bit done. Stick it to close to the edge as I can, and then pull this down and let it stick. That is how I always do Velcro. And this one's not quite as lined up as I want it to be, so I'm going to re-pull it real quick and realign it. I'm going to pull one side off. And if you're buying my basic kit, the Velcro does come with it along with the ribbon that I'll be using. I will not be using all the ribbon because I'm going to save some of that for when I'm doing all the embellishments with y'all. That will be a secondary and third type kit. So here are these ready to go. So we have all of these. We just need to lay out where we want them. And then we just have to glue them. I'm going to double glue on this one. I am going to just, as you can see, I'm just laying out real quick. So those are how I'm going to lay these units out this time. I also always put a card in, and I think I'm going to switch it up a little. That's normally how I always lay out my units, but I'm going to switch it up a little. And we're going to put the card right there. We're going to glue the card right there in the middle. We're going to, nope, that's not going to work. I'm going to have it under that. Okay, if I glue the card right there in the middle like I want to, I'll need to put that one there and that one there so it can overlap on that card. Or I can move the card over a little here. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll just, that one spot I messed up, I'm just going to ignore it there. It's simple enough. I have plenty of bling I can add in the next, that we'll be adding in the next video. And there we go. That is going to be my layout on this side. But first I'm just going to show you what we're going to do with this piece here. I am taking my glue. I am just going to squeeze a very small line over these, and it does need to be semi-straight. I'm not doing as best as I'd like to on that one today, but it's okay. If you are using a glue like this, I do use a random container and stick it upside down, so that way it stays upside down and quicker getting glue access. If you already have an upside down glue container, you don't have to worry. Okay, I'm pushing that up, and I'm just sticking this down. Since this glue does take a couple seconds, about a minute maybe max, truthfully, to set, I'm just going to clip the edges and set it to the side, because I'm going to use that and this other pocket on the back. Now I'm just going to work from, surprisingly, from my right to my left. We're going to glue, and if I have to clamp it to the best of my abilities, so hopefully it doesn't pop up, and move forward. Now if you have zip dry, this is a better option to use at this time, especially if you're trying to go fast like I am here for y'all. But I also don't like the way zip dry sometimes does, where I have to refix it 3 or 4 times before it sets completely. It's annoying. I'm using a bigger clip there because I have folded the cow down also. And then I'm just going to come down and clip corners at the bottom. And then I'm just going to line up the next piece. So you do not want to glue the curve on this. I'm sorry if I'm out of screen. I'm trying to keep everything on screen, but I think I'm getting the gluing lines off screen. Okay. There's a squiggly, the glue the best I can. I may have to come back and add more glue. That does happen. I'm just lining it up where I want. I will make sure where this can close with where I put it. Now this one I will press for a second because I'm not really clipping it yet. Before I clip this bottom one, since we are overlapping with that right there, I am going to cut my glue, my tape, into 4 pieces. And I'm just giving myself a little extra stability. And this one I actually will use the glue stick on. And I'm going to use it one way I sometimes use it when I'm just working on my own things. Okay, so there's the tape. And I'm holding it in my hands for a reason. Now I'm going to pull up the corners. And I'm grabbing my glue stick. I will have sticky hands here in a second. So I don't recommend this if you don't like, if you're not trying to go quickly for any reason. Or I just want to cross my hands. and then all over the back. Now I'm moving that piece and the next piece out so I don't get them in the way. I'm flipping over, and I'm just dropping it where I'm filling it, which is about right there. And now that is stuck down. I'm going to actually try to glue holding a piece so you can see it all. So I just make it best straight line as I can, which is not as easy as I want to make it out to be. Then you just slide it up to where you want it, and you press down. This glue, like I said, will move a little. I may have to come back and press down. This side, I'm being lucky on this one. I have not got laid flat yet, so it's trying to come up a little here. So I may have to go back and work on that in a minute. Let's get the last one in. This one is more of a pocket style, so you will go up the side, down the bottom, and up the side again. And then just slide it where you want it. Luckily this glue is gives a little wiggle room. Alright, we're going to clamp that there. So while I'm giving this glue a minute to sit, I am going to go ahead, I needed the back. I'm grabbing the ones that need to be hole punched only. So I'm trying to make sure I stay on screen. Those are all hole punches. These are not hole punch. These can be hole punched if you want to. I do not plan to do them. I do have a project plans for in my next video when I show you how to more embellish. So all you need to do for the hole punch ones is get your hole punch, line it up to the best of your ability, and punch. Now you can come add rustic there if you want to, or not. That is up to you. I may show you that in the other video, but I'm not going to do that right in this second. I'm going to show you how to tie one ribbon, or how I'm going to do the one tie, and then I will do the back, and then we'll come finish assembling with all the decorating and the other embellishments in the next video. This was just basic getting the folio card done together. So I have this one right here. I have all my ribbons already pre-cut to 10 inches. I just slide the both ends, sometimes easier said than done, through the hole, and then I loop around and I pull for one of my styles. The other style will be a knotted style, which is very simple to make, and it will be in the other video. So these should have enough time to sit where I can take the clips off and we can get the back done. And you just slide. I'll show you them with one of these. When you get all your pieces, you just slide them in where you want them. But my next video will show you other ways to embellish as well. So let's get the back done, and then we will wrap up this video. And then, like I said, I wanted to do embellishments on a video on its own because I'll be adding other things that besides the ribbons, and I want to take my time with all that. So I need to decide how I want to layer these up. I think I'm just going to do just like this, where I have the card up high and the papers down low. We will start with the paper, because I'll probably have to clip it. And I left my glue sitting upright, so it may take a second. There you go. And this one I recommend, if you have a glue, do not leave it sitting upright, because it takes a little bit more work to get the glue out. Okay, and I'm just going to press that down. I'm going to carefully clip the one side there and the two bottom spots here. We'll get the other card done in. Again, I'm just going to use tape and glue. I need to cut one more piece. Hold on. There we go. There, I'm sliding this on, hopefully where y'all can see. Just randomly dropping the tape on. Peel up, and then we'll do the glue and stick it on. And then that will be the basics without adding any of the extra embellishments or doing ribbon on the card. Where's my glue stick? There it is. I'm like, I just had it. Where did I put it? Okay. Let's get this one stuck down. I think I want it right here. Press down. Trying to keep the glue stick off my hands. Alright. So here is the very basic card. That is in my first kit. You'll have all the papers to cut out, the Velcro, all the ribbons. In the next video I'll be doing, I will be showing you how to add all the ribbons, and then my secondary and third options of the card where you can add chainmail and other accessories as well. Thank y'all all for joining me. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and watch again for part 2 of all the embellishments. Bye everybody.